Hey pastry puffs! Welcome back to Strudel Reviews. It's your girl Strudel, and we are doing a completely unrelated video to dolls. I just brought Sunny and Luna to be something aesthetically pleasing for y'all to look at, because what today's video is I essentially cannot edit for shit, and I'm not gonna have y'all look at a stupid fucking wall this whole video. And also because, as stated before, life has been fucking terrible for everyone. So I figured we should have like a few videos here and there where it's just a little kiki, and Strudel, your girl here, talks about some of her favorite things that are not related to dolls. And for today's video, I figured we would talk about the show RWBY, but in a completely unexpected way. Instead of like the characters or like the seasons or what, like not seasons, volumes. Instead of like the characters and the volumes or the songs, I think today we are going. I'll be talking about like my top 10 favorite Grimm, because god damn, if RWBY is good at anything, it is the designs of the fucking Grimm. Although, quick warning, there will be some horror elements without specifically stating what they are outright. So if you are not necessarily a fan of the video, I like a fan of horror. A fan of horror, I mean. If you are not a fan of the horror genre, I will let you know when you could like click off and go watch another one of my videos. Or any other video, doesn't really fucking matter what you do. I will let you know when to click off, but let's get started on this list. For the top 10, for the number 10 spot, I put, believe it or not, the Beowulfs, specifically Mike and Marty from RWBY. And if any of you guys have ever watched RWBY, you know the segments involving Mike and Marty are so fucking hilarious. Mike and Marty are the icons. Like, they are the literal icons, and they deserve to have their own segment in frickin' RWBY proper. Like, I would love to see segments of just, like, Mike and Marty just sitting there, like, scheming about eating humans. Because that would be really fucking hilarious. Just, please, give us more Mike and Marty. Maybe give us some Mike and Marty plushies. Like, please. Mike and Marty deserve all the screen time in the world. Give it to them. They need it. We will eat it out of the palm of your hands if you are like me and you love Mike and Marty. That's really all I have to say about the Beowulfs, because aside from, like, the hilarity of Mike and Marty from RWBY, they are just, like, your generic Grimm that are very resemble wolves, kind of, sorta. And they don't really do much. And then for number 10, not number 10. Mike and Marty are number 10. The fuck am I talking about? For number 9, I put the King Tai G2. And if y'all don't remember what that is, it is the two-headed snake Grimm that Ren was, like, kind of essentially battling in, like, the very beginning of Volume 1. He took that out with ease. I just thought the King Tai G2 looked really fucking cool. And they looked like they could just swallow a bitch whole in one bite. Maybe two bitches, like, one bitch per snakehead. I just think they look really fucking cool, like, incredible. Like, the design. One snake head is black, and then the other snake head is white, which I thought was pretty cool, because that is so yin and yang, if y'all know what that means. Okay. With the King Tai G2 out of the way, we'll go on to number 8, which is the Manticore. You know, the really cool, lion-looking Grimm with, like, I think it had wings. The Grimm, like, in Volume 6, Chapter 1, where the gang was literally fighting the Manticore on the train top, like, that gave me so much flashback to the Black trailer where, like, Blake and Adam were just, like, fighting them Grimm and them robots, like, in the train cars. Like, that gave me very much that vibes, but you're in, like, wintry areas of, I think the continent's name is Anima, because, you know, I thought Lion Grimm with wings was pretty cool. And then there's another one. Just go watch that fight, because that was really fucking entertaining. And the Manticores look so fucking dope. Okay, and then for number 7, I put the Death Stalker. You know, the giant scorpion that was literally just busting in the middle of Vale at the end of Volume 2. And Coco just completely obliterated the bitch with her purse. She was like, surprise, bitch! She was like, yes, we love Coco in this house. The lesbian icon. We fucking love Coco in this house. We stan Coco Adele. She was like, you destroyed my favorite clothing shop. Prepare to die, you overgrown scorpion. Yes. And also, like, it's got pretty cool, like, power-ups and, like, mutation forms in the RWBY Grimm Eclipse video game. I'm trying to think if that's the right one, because there are, like, so many different fucking RWBY video games now. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, like, the Death Stalker, really freaking cool. It really mainly exists in, like, Vale and Vacuo, as you would expect giant fucking scorpion Grimms to be in the fucking kingdom of Vacuo, because it's in the middle of a fucking desert. Oh, also, the Manticore, I think it was exclusive to, like, the very northern part of Anima, like, around the city of Argus, as we'll get into the city of Argus in another day. And then the King Tai G2 and Beowulf's, well, the King Tai G2, I think, is exclusive to Vale, and then the Beowulfs you see practically you see everywhere, because you've seen them in Vale, you've seen them in Mistral, and they have ice versions in fucking Atlas, like, the fuck. Alright, and then for number 6, I put our good old boy, the Leviathan. The Leviathan, aka Bubbles. If you've seen Unicorn of Wars content, go watch it. It's great. You won't be disappointed. They are amazing at what they fucking do. Let's see. So anyway, the Leviathan looks exactly like fucking Godzilla. And it doesn't technically really belong to any of the kingdoms. It just, like, lives in the seas between the kingdoms. And it just rises out of the water like, rah, fee, fi, fo, fum. I'm coming to destroy your goddamn city, bitch. Be prepared. Although I am absolutely disappointed it got nerfed by a pair of silver eyes. RWBY was all like, prepare to be turned to stone, bitch. Like, it didn't disintegrate, it just turned to fucking stone, but okay. Pop off, Miss Ma'am. And then for number 5, I put this Fei Long. You know, that giant, like, giant sea serpent looking Grimm that Blake and Son literally battled in, like, the beginning of Volume 4. That is probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing Grimm, in my opinion. Like, I think Unicorn of War called it Philip. Again, go watch Unicorn of War's content. They are great. But the Fei Long, I just really liked the design, because it's like giant sea serpent can do a lot of fucking damage. Ooh, but no, they always have to make the Grimm get nerfed. I am highly disappointed. They did my boy Philip wrong, okay? They did Philip absolutely fucking wrong. Oh, also, before I forget, this Fei Long, kind of like the Leviathan or Bubbles, Philip also just exists in between oceans of the kingdoms as like an obligatory challenge. We like Philip. Philip did not deserve the disrespect Philip got. Just let my boy Philip be. And then let Philip and Bubbles just have a good old time. Like, leave them alone. They didn't do shit to you. Let's see. For number 4, I put the Wyvern slash I think the fandom as a whole, but I'm not like 100% sure. We call him Kevin. Kevin is like a giant dragon and kind of was like just did a whole surprise bitch in the middle of Cinder and Pyrrha's fight at the top of like Beacon Tower at the end of Volume 3. Kevin was like, "Sup, I'm Kevin." Kevin didn't really do any aid to the fight except just kind of do some minimal damage to. Kind of just did some damage to the top of Beacon Tower. That was about it. Kevin was like, "I'm just making this my new home now." Kevin just minds his own business. We vibe with Kevin. Just let my boy Kevin be. Kevin didn't do shit to you. Okay, and we are getting towards the end of the list. We're at the top 3. And obligatory warning. These last few are going to be horror related, so if you are not necessarily a fan of the horror genre, I highly recommend clicking off now and going and watching another video. So, yeah. And number 3, I put the Knuckle Lava. Like, from the end of Volume 4, where we got, like, the episode of Ren's. We got the episode of Ren's backstory, and then we find out that Ren's village of Kuroyuri was completely destroyed by the Knuckle Lava. I'm not sure what happened with the Knuckle Lava, because they never really went into details of why the Knuckle Lava woke up and just, like, completely destroyed Ren's village to bits and fucking pieces. And not to mention murdered Ren's mom by, like, caving in their roof and, like, a piece of, like, falling, like, ceiling beam just, like, literally hits her in the head. She just died on impact. So, the Knuckle Lava, for those who are wondering, oh, what's so scary and terrifying about the Knuckle Lava? Well, I'm gonna tell you. The Knuckle Lava, the base of the Knuckle Lava is like a massive fucking horse. Like, the horse is so big, I'm pretty sure it could crush a Clydesdale. And for those horse people, you know how big a fucking Clydesdale is. And then that is not the only terrifying thing. On top of the Knuckle Lava is a second kind of Grimm that looks very, very human-like. And it can stretch its arms, like, long and wide. Like, long, wide, and far. And, like, the front of the face has, like, horns on the top of the head. And, like, half of a mask. Kind of, sort of like Adam Taurus, but we'll talk about that in another video. But, like, girl, it is a fusion Grimm. It is a horse Grimm with, like, a human-like Grimm that has massive fucking arms attached. and it destroys everything in sight. Like, the horse part of the Grimm is big enough to fucking crush your entire house in like half a step. And then, like, the human part of the Grimm is, like, got no joints, no bones, no nothing. It's, like, it's got more flexibility than a contortionist, if you know what I mean. Like, holy fucking shit, is that fucking shit terrifying as hell. And the Knuckle Lava is really only exclusive to, like, the outskirts of Mistral, specifically the village of Kuroyuri. I'm, like, 98% sure it has terrified other villages, too. Like, the one village that was, like, early on in Volume 4, where, like, the people were like, help us, and you saw it look completely devastated. It looked the same way that Kuroyuri did. Alright, for number 2, I put a pretty recent one that it seems like not a lot of people talk about. It has been referred to as Salem's Silver-Eyed Hound. And if y'all are like, what's so scary about this Silver-Eyed Hound? Bitch, let me fucking tell you why it's so fucking terrifying. Okay, so, we gonna get into it. It is a, like, hound type Grimm. And Salem found a way to make silver-eyed warriors useful, aka experimented with them. She took a male silver-eyed warrior who had, like, one of these silver eyes, and the other side of the face was completely, like, obliterated. Kind of, sort of obliterated. They took the silver-eyed warrior and fused it with the Grimm. And for whatever reason, the Silver-Eyed Hound was after Penny, because Penny and we're going into, like, major spoiler territory. Although, like, let's just say, like, trying to avoid spoilers, but, Salem wanted Penny. Salem wanted Penny for a very specific reason. And since the Silver-Eyed Hound was a human and a Grimm infused, like, as a human and a Grimm, it had the intelligence of a human being. Like, a literal fucking intelligence of a human being. And then, like, after RWBY and the others, like, successfully killed it off and found, like, literally after they successfully, like, thought they killed it off and it came back and you saw the reveal, it was a silver-eyed warrior. Like, that's where we find out that's a new project of Salem's. And, like, RWBY comes to a specific conclusion that we will talk about in another video, which, like, when you think about it, is truly fucking horrifying. And then I do have an honorable mention before we get into the number 1 section of the video, and the honorable mention is called The Chill. If you have watched the Tales of Remnant video, there is the Tales of Remnant series, or you bought the book, there is a tale called The Grimm Child, where, like, 2 kids were playing in the woods, and one of the kids was, like, completely overtaken by this chill. And eventually the chill, like, wiped out their entire village, essentially. It's like a possession type Grimm. And it will take over you in just, like, one chill, which is really fucking terrifying. Like, horror fucking terrifying. Like, horror territory terrifying. Which is, like, insanely good. And then, finally, last but not least, the number 1 Grimm, and y'all better be prepared to hold on to your goddamn asses, because I'm pretty sure you were not expecting this. But I put the Apathy. the number one Grimm being the Apathy. And you want to know why the Apathy is number one? Because the Apathy will literally drain you whole from like top to bottom, will drain you. It will affect your mental state, and then eventually like mental will become physical, and then all you will do is just lay in bed all day because of how apathetic and depressed you are. And then you won't eat, you won't drink, and then you will like rot and decay in your bed. Like, holy shit. One Apathy on its own may not be scary, but when you have them together as a bunch, they can do a goddamn number on you. Like, Jesus Christ. It is fucking truly horrifying. Which, I'm actually surprised because RWBY does a really amazing job at horror. At absolute horror. Which I'm like, holy shit, y'all are good at that. And I think I'm gonna wrap up this video here and probably expect another RWBY related video in the next coming days or so, because I've got a lot more ideas involving that. And if you liked this, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!